I agree with all of that. The question is why? Why is it that you at a very basic job cannot make a living in the United States today, cannot make that step up? And I would argue unequivocally that it's government regulation through and through that keeps those wages down. And we can go through the whole exercise.
How? So why?
How?
I'm curious.
So what is the cost of production for a businessman? So what does he have to pay for? He has to pay wages. He has to pay, by law, he has to pay benefits. What else does he have to pay?
Taxes.
What's that?
Taxes.
He has to pay taxes. He has, in most businesses in the United States, he has huge costs. He has just regular business costs, right? Regular business costs that he would have to pay anything. But then he has huge regulatory costs. Right? Now the market can only bear a certain price because people only, there's only so much wealth in the economy. So let's say that price is 100. And he's going to make a 10% profit. So his profit is going to be $10. And he's not going to be in this business if he can't make $10 a profit. Okay? Now he has to distribute the rest of the cost across these, right? This is a fixed cost that's external to him. He has no control over this. And this has been going up dramatically over the last 100 years. Dramatic. Okay? His regular costs actually are probably going down because he's becoming more productive, there's more technology, there are more things, so these costs are probably going down. Taxes have been going up dramatically over the last 100 years. Remember, you know what corporate taxes were 100 years ago? Zero. By the way, just as an aside, who pays corporate taxes? Who pays corporate taxes?
Corporations.
Who are corporations? Who are the corporations? So think, this is an important exercise for you as businessmen. Who pays corporate taxes? Who are the people who pay it, right? Corporations is just fictitious entities. Who's everyone?
Shareholders.
Shareholders? Shareholders don't pay a dime of corporate taxes. Why not? They price, have you taken a finance class?
Yes.
They do it, discounted present value, future cash flow, right? It's a pre-tax or post-tax when they do the cash flow. After tax. They don't care about taxes. After tax. Who pays corporate taxes? The customers do. All corporate taxes are priced into the price of the good. So when we raise corporate taxes, who are we raising taxes on? The poor, the people and the customers. So we think, oh, we're going after those rich corporations, right? This is the mythology. This is why everything we know about economics is tilted, is distorted because of self-interest. But you won't let me go.
No.
Because you want to talk about economics. So taxes have been going up. So corporate taxes, by the way, are the stupidest, dumbest taxes I've invested. They should be zero. You want to tax rich people? Tax rich people. Don't tax corporations. Corporations just pass it on in their products. Their products are more expensive. You lower corporate taxes to zero, prices would come down in the economy. Competition would drive them down. Benefits going up and down. Up. Because they're being forced, right? More and more benefits we have to provide.
Do you look at benefits as a bad thing?
It depends. Some make sense if you negotiate for them, but a lot of this is dictated by government, not dictated by your needs as an employee, right? If it's dictated by your needs as an employee, then we can negotiate. But if it's dictated by government, they don't know what you need. Again, they talk about averages.
You can negotiate if you're, you can negotiate for your term.
Some of them, but some of them, I get benefits.
Negotiation power.
My employer gives me benefits that I don't want. I don't want them, because the government forces them to give them to me. I would rather get cash, I would rather get salary, or I would rather get different benefits, right? But the government dictates certain sets of benefits. So the cost of benefits have been going up because the cost of government has been going up. So what happens to wages? They're going to go down. In real terms. So whose fault is it? Now I know you think I'm playing a trick on you, but I'm not. This is the reality, people. What's driving up the cost is this, and this, and this. And you can squeeze him. You can say, no, only make $8. Okay, but at some point, he's not going to start the business, right? Shareholders are not going to invest unless they get the required rate of return, right? And if you can't make it in this country, then they'll take their money somewhere else where they can get the required rate of return. In America right now, all the money's going to developing countries because you can get a required rate of return in the United States right now. So, yeah, so it's going to go, so you can squeeze him to 8, but at some point you can't squeeze him because he's going to shut down the business and go away.
This has gone up tremendously. The rate of return of the dividends distributed to the owners have gone
Again, I can only speak for America, not true. In America, the dividends have been stable for 50 years, the rate of return on profit on average in industry is a pretty stable thing because competition keeps driving it down. Israel, again, Israel is full of special favors, special groups that the government has carved out and given them special favors. And yeah, you drive up, but when you drive,
Can I ask you for an example? Have you seen the movie Food Inc., for example?
Food Inc., like incorporated.
yeah, see, Food Inc. is a good example of propaganda. It's very good. It's very well done. So for example, now America's not innocent here, right? So for example, why are certain food prices going up in the United States? Because the United States is subsidizing corn, because they're subsidizing ethanol. So lots of land in the United States, instead of growing wheat and other food products, and this is affecting the entire world, is being wiped out, and they're planting corn. Why? Because the government subsidizes it. So there's no marketplace for these things. Again, what I'm describing here is a market. This is how businesses are run. You know, we can argue there's specific examples where this is different, but on average, the average firm, when you raise the regulatory cost, when you raise taxes, when you force them to pay benefits that nobody wants, what you're going to get is a lowering of wages. There's just no way around it in real terms, not in inflation adjusted, in real terms. This is why people can't afford it anymore, and this is why they could 100 years ago. This is why the bricklayer 100 years ago got self-esteem and could afford it. Let me do one other little economic exercise because it's so wonderful. Minimum wage, because minimum wage is like, oh, you can't not have minimum wage. But minimum wage does what? What happens when you set a price of a good? And what happens if a good in the marketplace would sell for 8 and you decide you're going to price fix it at 10?
Only those who have enough resources to buy it, buy it.
So, you have shortages? No. If you set it at 10, you have surpluses.
Right.
You create a lot of stuff, but nobody wants to buy it. What happens if you set it at 6? Everybody wants it, but nobody's going to produce it because there's no profit in it. So we know that government setting prices of stuff, I mean, they can't hit the 8, right? They're either going to hit... So, what do we do with minimum wage? Minimum wage, we say, let's say in America, it's $8 an hour, right? In some places. What if you're a teenager, you're 18 years old, you've just graduated from high school, and you can add value to a company at $6 an hour. That's what you can do. You're not very skilled, you're not very able. The minimum wage is $8 an hour. Am I going to employ you?
No.
If I employ you, I lose $2. I lose $2 on every transaction. So what do? I don't employ you. I build machines, I get robots, I close my business, I don't know, I do something. But it's just suicide to hire you, if you're worth 6, to hire you at 8. So what does having a minimum wage at 8 do? Creates unemployment. It creates unemployment among whom? Who gets unemployed? The weakest, the poorest, the people who most need the job, and the people who can then, if they had a job at 6, could then work themselves up to 8, to 10, to maybe one day owning the place, right? There are plenty of stories like that. But if they don't start at 6, how are they going to get the skills to get to 8? Who's going to give it to them? Welfare, the government's going to give them the skills to get from 6 to 8? No. They're going to get on the dole, and they're never going to have self-esteem. They're never going to have the opportunity to move ahead. Minimum wage is the most destructive policy for the poor ever invented. And yet every politician in the world only wants to raise it. And yet when you raise it, what happens? You get unemployment. And again, you can look country in Europe after country in Europe. The countries that have the highest minimum wage have the highest teenage unemployment. Because it's the young and the unskilled who never find a job. And who are you helping with minimum wage? You're hurting everybody. The people you're trying to help, you are destroying. And you're destroying them spiritually, even more than you're destroying them materially, because you're not giving them an opportunity to make a living, to be a bricklayer, and to build something for themselves.
So do you think that in China, when you have a lot of kids and with people working around the clock for like $1 or something, it's better for
Absolutely. Because what is the option? Why are they doing it? Why are people in China willing to work for $1 around the clock? What is the option that they have? Stop. To stop. Or to go back to the farm where they don't make $1 a day, they make 20 cents a day. Otherwise, why are they going to the city to work for $1? Their lives are better off for doing it. You might not like it because we can sit here in middle-class Israel and look over there and say, I wouldn't want that
Yeah,
life, but it's not our choice.
The unemployed will get the benefits. So
Yes, the unemployed get benefits, but by getting the benefits, you're destroying their lives. You're destroying their lives because you're taking away their ability to make a living for themselves, their ability to have self-esteem, and more than that, you have to take money from somebody in order to give them those unemployment benefits. You're not just printing, you're taking it from somebody. You're destroying productive capacity,
Right.
you're taking
People
stuff.
who are working.
Oh, because I'm working, why am I penalized? And then, of course, because I have to pay taxes, right, now that I'm working, I can't afford that apartment. And that's why the middle class gets hurt, because I'm funding, I have to support all these unemployed people who are created unemployment artificially. They wouldn't be unemployed if only we did away with the minimum wage.